Hey, welcome back. So this is part 2 of cooking vegan red beans. And once again, I'm Chef Marilyn Doucette. So we are going to complete this process for you. And what we have remaining, it won't take very long. So we're working with the seasoning to the pot. So let's look at this humongous pot that I have on the stove. And remember, you're going to just be doing maybe a 1 pound bag of beans for your family or for yourself. So let's just look at what I have on the stove. Ah, do you see it? Do you see it? Do you see it? Can you see it? And I'm using a wooden spoon. This is a metal pot. I can use a metal spoon, but look at it. The beans are pretty tender, still liquidy. It's not as creamy as it's going to be. And this huge pot's been cooking for like, let's see, Central Time, I'm going to say 7:30 and 8:30. So 3 hours. Yeah, it takes a while to get it to a boil, right? So remember I talked about letting steam out. So I have a vent that I've made here. I'm going to use this smaller skillet. I would generally not, I'd have a large skillet, but for just demonstrable purposes, for you guys who's going to be making a smaller pot of beans, a 1 pound pot, I had to do this. I wanted to use the smaller skillet. And then we talked about cooking spray. So my heat is not on. I am coating the bottom of the skillet. And I'm going to get this is lit 654. Okay, I want it to get hot, right? So it's heating up, and I'm gonna give it about a minute under this temperature. And then I'm going to probably add, or will add, some avocado oil. Is the light on it? Okay. Let's get a good position here. Avocado oil. But you can use EVO if you'd like. Some people prefer to use butter. Your choice. Okay. Now, so let's look at what I have prepared here. You see in these little cups, okay, I have onions, celery, bell pepper. These two are bell peppers. This is a celery. Notice they're red and green. This is about the quantity that you would use for 1 bag of red beans or black beans. Okay, and I would say this is about maybe close to a whole onion. It may not be quite. This is probably maybe a whole bell pepper. I can't remember, but I will tell you these are 4 ounces, okay? I use half of this jar, a little more than half of this jar, and this is 8 ounce jar in this large pot of beans. Okay, so I kind of did the math, and I think that it depends on how many 16 ounce cups that I yield from this. It may be about 450 to 500 milligrams of sodium per unit. And so it's up to you to know what you're putting in your food in terms of salt and sugars so that you can control that, okay? So we're gonna get started in the skillet. If you notice how it liquefied. Remember I talked about that before, that this is nothing but oil, and that's just cooking spray. So, okay, and I did talk about measuring, but I'm not going to do that here because I don't have it available to me in my hands, but I'm going to put a little, just watch it. I can eyeball it, and I'm going to say that that's probably a little over the top in terms of a tablespoon, okay? Oh, actually, my tablespoon was here. Okay, so let's get the onions and everything in the skillet. It's still a little cool, so I want to get it a little warmer, and I'm gonna talk to you for a minute. Protein, beans are really rich in proteins, and that's important for vegans, but that's not the only mineral or vitamin that you need in your diet. You need to be aware of what what you require daily. And the best way to find that out is to go online and visit sites that talk about nutritional value for male or female or child, and that will help you as well. If you are really active, you lift weights or you run, anything you do daily, walk several miles, run several miles, then you need to be aware of what your body needs to stay fit, stay healthy, and not to become depleted. So, not a nutritionist, but I know a little something because I read. Okay, so, and I didn't show you the garlic, so let me step away. Okay, so that was all that was missing. So I think that my skillet is hot enough, glistening, healthy oils. So I am going to add my onions first, and I'm going to increase the temperature because I want to ensure that, because this was frozen, the onions were frozen, it's going to make liquid. And it's okay, it's going in my beans. I would prefer fresh cut vegetables. I don't always have that luxury, and you won't either. Will it affect taste to have it frozen? You be the judge of that, and then you decide how laborious you want to be in one day. Okay? So, here we go. This is a silicone spatula, and I told you I like it. It won't hurt the skillet. So before I add all of my vegetables, these vegetables to my pot, I like to saute them first. I want to cook them so I can release the flavor and the essence that fresh vegetables exude or give off. And for this pot, this will not be enough. This is pretty much, again, what you would use if you're doing the quantity you would use for 4 ounces. I mean, for 1 pound of beans. This is the red bell peppers. And this is green peppers. All right. And finally, celery. Okay, so I'll let you take a look. I want you to see this. And it's making a lot of moisture. But that's okay because it's gonna evaporate when I turn up the fire. Once I add this, I will turn up the fire on the red beans. And so yeah, I think if you're cooking 1 pound of beans, nah. You don't have to use all of it, but you know, I'm gonna use it all. So if I were doing 1 pound of beans, I would throw all that in there. So I'm gonna let this heat up, and then I'm gonna just dump it in this pot. And of course, as I told you before, I have to add much more. So this is just for your purposes. And then we will depart. You will go on with your day. I will go on my day. Now, we will use these spices. Can you see them? Cayenne, chili powder, basil. I already added bay leaves to my pot. Okay, and I would suggest if you're cooking red beans, or for particularly red beans or white beans, always add, and black beans, add maybe to 1 pound of beans, I would add about 4 or 5 bay leaves. If you can get them fresh from a garden, oh my God, it's just effervescence. All right, this is thyme. I will add that as well. I have basil. I'm not going to do oregano, but a lot of times I do oregano. Okay, but not today. Alrighty, alrighty, alrighty. And I did speak about having your tools. I already have a tablespoon. So we're going to add a tablespoon. We're going to measure it by tablespoons because all the spices that I will use, even for 1 pound of beans, will require at least a tablespoon. So let's do that. Okay. So I'm going to add it directly to the pot. You see, that's a tablespoon of thyme. Cayenne. Whoa, I'm not doing a tablespoon of cayenne. Not if you were doing 1 pound of beans. 1 tablespoon of basil. And a tablespoon of chili powder. I would say you can do, you're fine with doing maybe a tablespoon and a half of chili powder, even for 1 pound of beans. It flavors it very well. And, you know, remember chili and beans, people like chili and beans. So, and I'm just going to stir all this in, blend it, and really, my beans are really tender. They're not absorbing any more water. So you have to be careful about adding too much water. When I first put this pot of beans on in part 1, and I looked at it after I got off the camera, oh my God, I was like, the beans were like swollen and there was no liquid. So I had to add like 20, 40, 60. I think I added another close to a gallon of water. And I was afraid I was just going to exceed the size of the pot. And I'm like, you know, I've done goofy stuff like that where I've had to get another pot because I'm overfilling one, right? So don't do what I do all the time in terms of making more work for yourself. Yeah, so take a look at... Let you take a look at the vegetables. Yeah, they're in water. And if you had fresh cut veggies, onions, bell pepper, celery, you wouldn't have this much moisture. And you can also drain the moisture from your frozen vegetables. Before you put it in, get a smaller strainer and press it, and you can, you know, you can get rid of some of the water and the moisture. But I'm okay with it. My beans they're going to cook for a while. So, and again, this has been cooking like 3 hours. So how much longer am I going to cook this huge pot of beans? I'm going to say about another 2 hours probably. All right. There you go. It's in the pot. Yeah. Move this over here. Wooden spoon to blend it all. Can you see that? Yeah, you're kind of thinking that's going to taste really good. And there's no meat. There's no meat. Okay, so I have to, that's it. My temperature on the stove is the 6 being the highest. Right now, it's actually on low. I'm going to move it to a number 4. And I won't go anywhere because I will need to stir it. The beans are heavy. They'll settle to the bottom of the pot. If they're unattended, they will burn. So we don't want to leave food, particularly something like beans once they're near end, unattended. So be mindful. If you have a stove with a timer, like mine, you can set it for increments. I set mine for 10 minutes start. In case the doorbell rings, I go back to the television, computer, then I know that I am going to be reminded in case I get off track. So thank you All right, Luke, I hope you learn how to cook red beans. Peace.